Right, the video you see on your screen is a video I picked up from a LinkedIn post that was heavily commented on. The gentleman who posted it, I think, was a betting consultant. The video shows some farm hands on a farm somewhere in Nigeria dumping rotten eggs. You could see they covered their noses into a pit they had to dig. The that I was told was that due to the challenges of finding sales in the season of the year and all the challenges that happened with farmers, the purchasing power, so a lot of farms struggled to make sales. So these farmers apparently just got to a point where they didn't know what to do with the eggs, and the eggs were piling up and eventually began to spoil. So eventually what happened was, when the eggs got spoiled, the only option clearly was to dump them. This consultant was then saying in his post, then made statements about things that could have been done, but not things that could have been done to prevent the egg loss, but mostly things that could have been done to prevent spoilage or to actually get rid of the eggs before spoilage set on. And so he began to talk about giving it to people. They could have used it for this and that, giving it to some people, sold it at a ridiculous, maybe at a giveaway price or something to some people. But I read through the comments as well, and it was the same thing. Literally nobody, with one or two exceptions, people who mentioned something about how they could have marketed them and gotten rid of them through sales before the onset of spoiling. Usually no one was talking about them, and I don't blame anybody for not having the ideas. However, over I think about 6 years ago, I did a podcast which you are going to listen to at the end of this clip, in which it was based on egg glut. It was about egg glut and how to prevent it and how to boost your sales. Egg glut is not real, and I explained why in my podcast. It's about I think it lasts for about 25 minutes or so. I'm not sure, I can't remember now. So anyway, the thing is, I just transcribed it overnight, right? Because after I looked at the video, I realized that if people were discussing this subject like this and did not actually arrive at a solution to prevent it, it means that people are assuming that it's an inevitable outcome. The minute there's any little delay or challenge finding buyers or getting buyers to come over to your farm, then you just have to content yourself with potential loss of eggs, of course, inevitable loss of sales. That makes no sense, because it's not real. Egg glut is not real. It's just the mindset that's making that one look like a reality to those people who are accepting it. So after this clip, this short intro I'm giving you, you are going to be able to listen to a preview of the full podcast, and then if you're interested in getting the full length material, just reach out to me. You contact details on the screen. I wish you well.
Hi, this is Solagbade, and this is an audio message I'm recording specifically for members of my Farm Business Ideas Club who use my products or services and who have been subscribers to my newsletter for several years. I have been speaking to some of them, and they are a number of them who are owners of poultry farm business enterprises, have shared with me the challenges they have, specifically with the problem of egg glut in the market. Those of them are poultry farmers and are rare poultry layers. So what tends to happen is at some period of the year, they have a situation in which they have such a large volume of eggs in the market that getting a competitive price for their egg products becomes very difficult, because the customers then begin to price down the eggs, no matter how big they are, and more or less it amounts to just selling at a loss if they give in to such antics by the customers. So what some of them tried to do, like a client recently did, I think early in the year, I think it was around I think the first or second quarter of the year, maybe the second quarter of the year, the gentleman came down from Abeokuta and called me on his way down in his car. He had a car full of eggs, and he brought them in from Abeokuta, telling me when he arrived here that there's a big player in Abeokuta, an organization called Animal Care, and because they have large flock of birds, the flock size is quite big. Whenever their traditional outlets are shut, for instance, the schools are on holidays, and so the children they're not buying eggs. The schools are not buying eggs to feed the kids. The organization then pushes the eggs out into the local market, and that creates a huge glut in the market, leading to naturally a downward fall in the prices of the eggs. So the small players like my client then struggle because the buyers begin to make ridiculous offers, and that was what led him to actually come down to Lagos with his eggs, asking for my help in seeing if they could just find buyers at least to sell it off at a much more reasonable price, and he was willing to accommodate the cost of transporting to them and all that. Now luckily for him, he was able to get to a place in Surulere. I met with him at Bega. I think I took photographs of several of the crates or something to get a feel for the size, and then I went across to the Otedela estate on the other side of Bega and tried to talk with some relatives I had there who I knew got eggs supplied delivered to them by somebody who was a major distributor. So the objective was to see if I could connect the distributor or the supplier, the lady who was a distributor, with my own client to see if he could begin to supply eggs to her. But anyway, he was able to get an outlet in Surulere where he was able to sell off virtually everything he brought to Lagos. Then he began to complain that he still had more that were piling up on the farm. Now the point I'm making, the reason why I even use the example at all, it's reflective of what happens with men. The truth is that they go into production without being ready with the marketing. You've got to do your marketing ahead before you do your production. So, and that's been the challenge. The marketing must be done to create a demand for the products that are on their way. You shouldn't wait till the products are ready for the market and you start running around looking for buyers. Like Bro Dubin said, you are a marketer first and an expert second. No matter what area of business you are in, marketing must be a priority for you. It is better to create marketing demand and be unable to meet the demand and have to look for alternative ways to help to fulfill those demands by maybe talking to nearby farms or neighboring farms, than for you to have a situation in which you have a farm filled with products ready for market and nobody to buy them, because then we are going to deal with spoilage, you're going to deal with loss. Depending on the kind of product you're selling, it'll be a headache. But in this case, we're talking about eggs, so spoilage is a possibility, and then of course think about it, the loss of money and all of that that's attendant to it. So what's the solution to this egg glut thing? What can one do? I have told clients repeatedly, not just with eggs, but I'm focusing on the eggs now, but it's the same philosophy that applies to any other kind of farm business, which is more or less a batch production process. You've got to do the work ahead of time. So in other words, let's assume you have a new batch of birds and they're yet to start dropping eggs, but you estimate that maybe they're going to start dropping in 2 weeks from now. But of course, when they start dropping, the eggs will be a bit small and irregular in size, so you're not really thinking you're going to have enough that you need to worry about. But at some point they'll pick up, and their henday production might rise up to like 65%, 70% at this stage. The point is, as the thing begins to ramp up, your flock begins to ramp up in production. We're assuming you're giving them good food and they're doing well. There's no disease and all that. So they're going to be producing. You've got to have connected with sales outlets that will enable you to channel the bulk of your eggs to them before they begin to pile up on the farm, because eggs are perishable, as you know, and they are very delicate. So the more you have on the farm, the more the chances of you losing out in one way or another, either breakages, pilfering, of course not lack of sales, which might lead to spoilage, and all of that, or you have to sell at a lower price because you have so many of them and you're desperate to get rid of them, so as to create space for the new ones that have been produced, because the birds won't stop laying. It doesn't matter whether you don't find buyers, the birds will keep laying. That's the terrible thing about poultry layer enterprise. They keep laying. It doesn't matter they don't care whether you're having buyers or not. So that's why you've got to do the work ahead of time. How do you do the work ahead of time? Number one, connect with people who use eggs. Build the database of people who use eggs. Find out people who use eggs in bulk, in particular. Not just talk. You can look at communities around you, look at the neighborhood around you, look at homes and